As is often the case, a story we do one day on the 208 sparks further conversation from our viewers. Our coverage yesterday on the Boise mayoral race provoked a few comments and questions on something we didn't really touch on yesterday, campaign donations. But Joe Paris, well, he got the calculator out for us today. And Joe, the question is, well, where do we stand now when it comes to fundraising?
Yes, a popular question. What does fundraising look like right now? And we actually got a message just as our show was going off the air last night. So let's take a look together. It says, for Joe Paris, that's me, would love reporting on the fundraising to date in the mayor's race, always revealing. So all about viewer feedback here. So let's take a look at a few different time frames in terms of the campaign finances in the Boise mayoral race. So let's zoom out first to the 2023 calendar year. The incumbent, Mayor Lauren McLean, leads total fundraising reported so far. McLean is at about $309,000. Mike Masterson sits at $191,346. So a metric that can be very interesting. Individual donations. McLean has 905 donations. Masterson has 596 donations. So it is important to note, though, that Mike Masterson joined the race officially on March 20th of this year. So let's take a look at the fundraising since then. That's a 6-month period. So over the last 6 months and really the heat of this race, McLean actually has the edge in fundraising. Let's take a look. She saw $213,451 in donations. Masterson has seen just under $200,000, $191,346 sent in. And I saw a message asking for the most recent numbers, like the last 30 days. And I will say that we'll get that full picture for September soon as the campaign wraps up their September books for the October 10th reporting deadline. But according to the Secretary of State reports, over the last 30 days, it is an essential deadlock. It is interesting to see here that Masterson does see a slight edge, bringing in $17,872 in the last 30 days. McLean reports $17,264. Again, we can break down full September numbers when the month wraps up and the books are finalized. And there's another question that we do get a lot of the times. Where physically are donations coming from in the Boise mayoral race? Is it a lot of Boise money, Treasure Valley money, maybe even country money across the United States? Well, through political races over the last 8 years, I have listened to, frankly, uninformed conversations about where the money is coming from. I've heard bold claims across races. Candidate so-and-so is pushing through on dark money, all from outside the state of Idaho. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but take my word. That's the type of thing I'd heard over the last 8 years. And it's hard to track this metric sometimes, but Secretary of State Phil McGrain and his team, they have a new portal out just for that question. I say a portal. So let's go take a look at this. There's a brand new tool. If you come over here to our touchscreen, this is actually a special heat map of all the contributions to McLean and Masterson in 2023. And this heat map will be more intense in areas with higher concentrations of donations. So little dots around the country, major spots in Idaho. We can look at each individual campaign. So let's take a look. We'll go full screen here, and this will be for the incumbent McLean. She has contributions from 105 cities in 29 different states. Major concentration in Idaho. You can see the smattering across the United States. A concentration, though, they're on the East Coast and in the Washington, D.C. area. Likely you could connect that to the mayor's trips back east that she's done to D.C. to visit different administrations. Now, Masterson has contributions from 43 cities in 15 different states, and a large majority appears to be right there. You see that big red dot, that's Idaho. And I will link to this portal in our story on ktvb.com so you can play around with it. I know it may be frustrating to want to come touch your computer screen or your TV screen right now. So we'll link to that. It's super interesting. It goes in depth all the way down to who the donor is, where they are from, and how much they donated. And just so you can appreciate what groups like the Secretary of State's and the Controller's Office are doing with Transparent Idaho, when we talk about these public records, a lot of them, I mean, we would just work through sheets of paper, very basic sheets of paper that we would load into Excel sheets, and then we'd glean through that to try to provide facts for conversations. So these visualizations that, again, that we will put on ktvb.com, you can have whatever opinion you want, but when you go into your next conversation, Brian, you have some data to back you up.
Well, hopefully I won't be having that conversation with anybody anytime soon. My question to you, though, is there's really nothing shady necessarily about contributions coming from, well, outside of Boise, right?
I mean, if that's in the eye of the beholder. For some reason, you think money coming from outside of the state of Idaho for a Boise race is out of bounds. That's your opinion, and you can take a look at the data and see that now.
Okay. Thanks, Joe.